Alrighty, thank you so much for that. My name is Ashley Brown. I am one of your Oki 811 member relations specialists, and today we are going to be learning about the different ticket transmission options that are available via your Oki 811 membership. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We really do appreciate it. Before we get started, we want you to keep in mind that all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you have any question throughout the presentation, you can leave it in the Q&A feature and we'll answer it at the end of today's presentation. Alrighty, so before we dive into what ticket transmissions options are available, we do need to review the structure of an Oki 811 membership and clarify what an output is. Each level of your Oki 811 membership does have each Oki 811 membership does have two different levels. So there's your membership level and your dispatch level. The membership is your overall umbrella account with Oki 811. All of the billing and contact information for your organization is under the membership level of your Oki 811 membership. And it is possible for one membership to have more than one dispatch code. The next level of the membership is the dispatch level. And as I mentioned, you can have the multiple dispatch codes. Sometimes the dispatch codes are separated by geographic region or they can be separated by facility types. So, for example, a municipality membership may have one dispatch code for their water department and a completely separate dispatch code for their electric department. Or maybe a pipeline company has one dispatch code for their underground facilities that are in the northern half of the state and then a separate dispatch code for their facilities in the southern half of the state. Either way, the dispatches are separated. They're all going to contain certain elements. One, all dispatch codes are going to contain the authorized contact that are for that organization. Each dispatch code is going to contain the personnel that are able to positively respond on behalf of the locate request for that dispatch code. Each dispatch code will have its own registered mapping, and each dispatch code is going to have its own outputs, which is what we're here to discuss today. An output is the specific location where you have selected for Oki 811 to transmit your company's tickets. And it's not just locate requests or tickets. Transmissions can include audit reports, design survey requests, or damage report notifications. And understanding the different delivery methods that we have available will help you choose the output option that works best for your organization. So before we dive into the different ticket transmission options, we do want you to understand how to look at your organization's membership information and see which outputs you already have selected. So to view your company's output, you're going to go to the Oki 811 portal, and you can access that by going to dig.oki811.org, and you'll select membership info. From there, you can find all the information that we're going to be discussing today in the output section of your dispatch information. Once you pull up membership info, it's going to look something similar to the screenshot that we have on the left of the screen right here. All of the outputs where your transmissions are going to be transmitted will be under the output section. Each member has one primary output per dispatch at no charge. That's just a part of your Oki 811 membership. So you get one primary output per free per dispatch. But you can choose to set up multiple additional outputs where tickets are transmitted in addition to the primary output. An additional output will incur the additional output fee, which is currently $180 per year per additional output set up under each dispatch. Now that we've looked at what an output is and how to view the outputs that your organization has selected, let's take a look at the types of ticket transmission options, also known as output types, that Oki 811 has available. Alrighty, so the first one is email. Email is the fastest and most preferred method of ticket delivery. Most organizations already have email set up, and the email delivery is going to give you more control over your tickets. Be sure that you're checking your email settings to ensure that transmissions from Oki 811 are not getting directed to your junk folder. And if for any reason you find that you didn't receive a locate request, you can always resend it to yourself via the queue feature of the portal or contact Oki 811 member services to resend it. Another fast and preferred method is FTP, or File Transfer Protocol. This is a file transfer from server to server, and it does require that you have an FTP server on your network. Secure FTP is available, and you can contact member services if you're interested in moving to a secure FTP delivery. We would recommend that all primary outputs be set up as an email or an FTP because they're electronic, they're a bit more reliable than some of the antiquated um, outputs that we'll take a look at later in this presentation. And with these different methods of ticket transmission, email and FTP, you're able to receive more enhanced technical troubleshooting if needed. We'd recommend that you check your email settings to ensure that your email client is not directing Oki 811's transmissions to your junk mail folders. You can do so by adding Oki 811 to your safe sender list. We do have safe sender information. It's here on the screen, but you can also find it on page 11 of the membership guide, which is available on the facility operators page of oki811.org. Be sure to share this with your IT department, an email client, or your internet provider to make sure that you're receiving your locate request and other transmissions from Oki 811. Now, the next transmission option that we have is text message, and it is just like it sounds. It is a text message. An MMS text message from Oki 811 will be sent to the phone number that you specify. This information is limited, but it does include the ticket number, the ticket type, the contact name, phone number, work site, address, and county. The text will also contain a link to the Oki 811 portal where you can easily view the ticket information. Now, since cell reception can vary depending on where you are in the state, and many different things can happen to a phone, including it being misplaced or damaged, we would highly recommend that your text message output be used as an additional output and not your primary. The next transmission method we have is fax. Fax is the least recommended method of ticket delivery. It is slower and more expensive than other delivery methods. At the time of this webinar, there is a fax delivery surcharge, which is $1 per ticket for every ticket that's delivered via fax. And that surcharge is in addition to the ticket fee, and the price could increase in the future. This option of having a fax is best used as a backup because many simple reasons can cause a ticket to not be successfully delivered via fax, such as not having any paper in the machine, or the machine being turned off, or if you're having phone line issues. Now, the next transmission method we have are the automated emergency short notice calls. These are calls that are sent by an automated system called Vocal Notify, which is a third-party system. Those automated calls will call down a list of the phone numbers that you give us, and the phone call itself will read information from the ticket, which does include the ticket number and the worksite details. These call notifications are a secondary backup that are in addition to the electronic transmission of the locate request. So, for example, many members have it set up to where all of their transmissions are sent via an email, but also if it's an emergency or short notice ticket, they'll receive a phone call as well. So remember that the emergency short notice calls are a secondary means of notification. And for the calls to be most effective, you want to make sure that they're going to personnel who have access to those electronic notifications and have access to the Oki 811 portal. These emergency short notice calls are primarily used for locate requests with a dig time of 24 hours or less. The last transmission method offered by Oki 811 is the manual voice transmission. So these are calls for emergency short notice tickets that are delivered by an Oki 811 representative instead of an automated system. During the call, the Oki 811 representative will read all of the ticket information to the member. Um, During most of these calls, all of the ticket information is required because the contact may not have access to electronic means of receiving their transmissions, but manual voice deliveries are the most expensive output type. At the time of this webinar, there's an additional charge of $5 for every ticket that's delivered via manual voice, and that surcharge is in addition to the ticket fee and the additional output fee. So, just a reminder, if your emergency and short notice contacts do not have access to the electronic copy of the ticket, they can still use the ticket number that they get from the manual voice call or the automated call and use the quick ticket lookup that's found at oki811.org to pull up all of the ticket information. Okay, so now that we've gone over the different types of outputs that are available as a part of your Oki 811 membership, let's take a few moments to take a look at some of the reasons why you should make sure your outputs are up to date. So as we've mentioned, each output is the unique location where you're receiving all of your Oki 811 transmissions. You get one primary output per dispatch for free as a part of your basic service. The additional output fee is applied to each additional output that's set up under each dispatch as a part of a premium service. So effective November 1st, 2023, the additional output fee increased from $120 to $180 per year per each additional output. When you're setting up your outputs, you want to keep in mind that you receive that one output at no cost. And since we've just talked about the additional output fee, you want to make sure that the outputs that you have selected are ones that you actually need and contain the correct information. So here on the screen, we're taking a look at an example dispatch information. In this example, the member would have one primary output that they're getting at no charge. Then they have two additional outputs that are both incurring the additional output fee. So for this one example dispatch code, this member would be charged an additional $360 per year in addition to their annual invoice, and that's just for additional outputs. And then, as we mentioned, there are some additional outputs that have extra cost, like the fax and the manual voice. So you want to make sure that you're reviewing your output setup to determine what your organization needs so your membership can be as cost effective as possible. In addition to the additional output fees, you want to make sure that your outputs are up to date so that you can reduce the amount of second and third notices that your company receives. A second or third notice is sent when a member has not responded to the original ticket by the work to begin date and time, and this does create a break in the one call process because excavators have not received a response to proceed with excavation or not. Previously, second and third notices had the same ticket fee as locate requests, but effective November 1st of 2023, these repeat notices now have increased cost. So if your output information is outdated, if it's going to the wrong person, that means that the tickets are not being reviewed, they're not being located, and it's likely that you're going to receive a second or third notice by the excavator because they have not received a response. So make sure that your outputs have the correct information so that the proper personnel can receive those locate requests and other transmissions. Then be sure that you're providing accurate positive response through the portal for every locate and design survey request. Be sure to do so before the start date and time on the request. And doing all of these things should reduce the amount of second and third notices that your company receives. The cost for each second notice is an additional $2 per notice, and the cost for each third notice is an additional $3 per notice. And just a reminder that there is no company that's exempt from these second and third notice fees. Second and third notices are only sent to member companies who have not provided a positive response via the portal, which you are not likely to do if you're not getting the ticket because the output information is incorrect. And they're also sent whenever a response from a member is inadequate or confusing. The third reason to be sure that your company is keeping outputs up to date is the risk of under notification. So, in addition to the second and third notice fees, having outdated output information can lead to a lack of notification. So, the proper personnel are not being notified of the transmissions, which means that lines are not being marked, which can lead to damage to the underground facilities, loss of utility services, or injury to the excavators and the public. And your organization could also face fees from the Oklahoma Corporation Commission or different types of lawsuits. So make sure that you're keeping that output information up to date. And if you wish to make changes to your outputs, you certainly can. Be sure to go to the Okie 811 portal at dig.okie811.org, select membership info, and then you're going to click the update information button to submit a dispatch update form. The update information button is going to populate once you select your dispatch code on the left side of the screen. The dispatch update form is a free text field, meaning that you can type as you please. So if you need to leave a note that you feel would further clarify the changes that you're trying to make, please be sure to do so and we'd be happy to help. Alrighty, so some quick reminders before we wrap up. An output is a unique location where locate requests and other transmissions, such as audit reports or damage reports, are sent. Members have various output types available, including email, FTP, and automated emergency short notice calls. Your output information, like your email address or phone number, must be accurate in order for personnel to receive notifications and respond to locate requests. Be sure to use the membership info viewer in the Okie 811 portal to view and update your organization's output information as needed. You don't have to wait for a particular time of the year. As your output information changes, be sure to update it with us because we won't know if you have any changes to your employees or to your outputs unless you tell us. Alrighty. And also remember that every membership receives that one primary output at no cost for each dispatch code that's under the membership. Each additional output will incur that additional output fee. And some transmission methods like fax and manual voice have additional surcharge fees. Email and FTP are the preferred method of ticket transmissions as they are electronic and can provide detailed troubleshooting information. Other output types like text and fax are unable to receive enhanced technical assistance if needed. Text is best used as an additional output and it's not recommended as a primary output. Think about all the different things that can happen to a phone. Fax is also not recommended as a primary output because there are many issues associated with the failure to receive notices, like not having paper in the machine or something being wrong with the phone line. Your emergency short notice calls are used to be a secondary option in addition to your main primary electronic notifications. It is not recommended that you solely rely on the emergency and short notice calls. And if you are receiving manual voice, remember that it is a premium service for members. It is the most time consuming and expensive method of ticket transmission. To help ensure you're doing the best to save your organization time and money, please don't forget that the additional output fee has increased from $120 to $180 per year per additional output. You should be regularly reviewing your company's outputs to ensure that you only have the outputs that you need and that output information is accurate. There are now additional fees associated with second and third notices. The second notices incur an additional charge of $2 per ticket, and the third notices have the $3 per ticket additional charge. By maintaining and keeping your outputs up to date and providing on time, accurate, positive response via the portal, you should be able to help minimize the amount of second and third notices that your organization receives. Alrighty, before we check in to see if there are any questions, please grab your phone now and follow this QR code to our webinar feedback form. If more than 50% of today's attendees provide feedback, they will all be entered into a drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card. And if you don't win, don't fret because we'll be hosting this drawing at the end of every live webinar for the rest of 2024. And if you can't follow the QR code now, don't worry because there will be a link in the follow-up email that's just for you that will allow you to take that survey. So it looks like we do not have any questions, and that's okay. If you think of any questions or have suggestions for future webinar topics, be sure to contact our Education and Outreach Department at education@oki811.org. You can go to oki811.org/education events to register for those future webinars and get a chance to receive a $25 gift card. If you have any questions regarding your membership or your outputs or the portal, be sure to contact Member Services at memberservices@oki811.org. And our GIS team is always available to help at gis@oki811.org. They would be happy to help with your mapping and service area editor questions. And like we say every webinar, we want to thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you taking time to learn about your ticket transmission options. Please stay safe and stay hydrated and have a great day. Thank you.